and welcome back to Red 265 Motorsport, and welcome to the full coverage highlights of rounds 1 and 2 of the Barbados Rally Club's 2022 Championship, brought to you by Java Island Coffee. This event is usually an island-wide rally geared to get teams ready for the island's blue ribbon event, Soul Rally Barbados. This time around though, the event would be a double header speed event using the popularly known Malvern stage in both directions, where the fastest time would of course count to overall positions and class. The format though surely didn't take anything away from the event, as crowds were out in their numbers, and so too the competitors, with a 46 team entry list. As per usual, before taking in the action, we head over to the service area where a few teams completed a brief scrutineering session and final tweaks. And while that was going on, we caught up with a few of the crews to get a sense as to where things were for them in this event and the 2022 season. One such driver was Neil Corbin, who was still coming to grips with his recently acquired Toyota GT86.
I think the car has a lot of potential. We definitely need to do some dialing of the suspension and try to find a sweet spot in the alignment and whatnot. It's a little snappy at the moment, definitely not as lively as it started, but it has independent rear suspension and it's obviously a little lower to the ground, I think, overall. So it should handle really well, but it is definitely heavier than it started. So it's not going to be able to be tossed about like how I'm accustomed to doing that. It's going to take a lot of adjustability in my driving, and it's also that fan drive, so I'm trying to figure out that all at the same time. I've got a new child, so I haven't really been able to spend as much time in it as I would have liked to, but this is where we come out to these types of events. It's a good shakedown event, and I think it's important that we do these types of things and feel it out, make sure we get accustomed to how it feels for Rally Barbados.
As more drivers showed up, we also caught up with Turks and Caicos' own Paul Horton, who had reunited with 2020 British Rally champion Matt Edwards.
Well, progress is really good. I just really wanted to get Matt back in the saddle and see how I'd progressed over the year and a half he'd been away, and just make sure that I was putting into terms, what he's taught me, and make sure we're putting it down on the road. And gradually, what we worked on, a couple of years ago was to get comfortable in the car, understand the car, and that's what we're working towards still. I mean, we're taking steps towards where we'd like to be, which is in the fight of the mid-pack for sure. We're getting close, but we're taking our time to get there versus forcing ourselves to get there. So having back, it already feels comfortable. Every sense of it, him, the notes and everything, it's just a full package for me, and that's what we're looking towards. If we're going to go to other places like Martinique or Guadeloupe and places like that, we need to understand the full package to compete.
So, with the teams briefing over and drivers heading to the stages, we took up location for the first of 4 official runs of the Wilson Hill to Malvern direction. Coming up is a look at the top 10 overall. First up, finishing the morning direction in 10th overall, is Brian the Iceman Gill, a name we haven't referenced for some time, and for the first time in an R5, but doing exceptionally well taking over for Andrew Malalou. 9th overall and fastest modified 4 would be Mark Thompson and Kurt Ciabra, with a committed run throughout the morning session. Eighth overall and 5th in the R5 class was Roger Hill and Graham Gittins, who would fortunately be able to complete all of their runs, despite on the second run suffering from some engine misfiring. 7th overall and somewhat off the pace compared to his usual performance was Mark Maloney, who kept steady progression for most of the morning direction. Punching above his weight comes as nothing new for Roger Mayers, but it would only allow him to muster up 6th overall, which would not be good enough for the fastest in his group, nor the corresponding fastest two-wheel drive honours. Fifth overall, and with significant improvement each run to see them end up 3rd in the R5 group, would be the pair of Rob Swan and Sean Gill. great performance and visibly faster than most of the four-wheel drive competitors would be the crew of Barry Mayers and Ben Norris, who would end the morning direction 4th overall, 1st in group, fastest two-wheel drive and fastest rear-wheel drive. Still finding his groove in the R5 was Jeffrey Panton, with Jason Cozier on the notes. The pair would settle for a 3rd overall and 2nd in the highly competitive group. Speaking of competitive, 1st in R5 and 2nd overall by less than a second was Stuart Maloney and Chris Yearwood in their Skoda Fabia Rally2 Evo. The pair would keep their closest rival honest throughout the morning session, with little give on any of the 4 runs. With every ounce of concentration shown here, rounding up the top 10 and maintaining their winning ways, was Dane Skeete and Tyler Mayhew with the Subaru Impreza S12 WRC. Before we head over to the reverse direction runs, let's have a look with the various group winners throughout the morning session, starting with Logan Watson, who missed out on a top 10 overall by 1 spot, but would secure a modified 3 win. Winner of modified 1 was Edward Corbin and Jonathan Elaine in their Daihatsu Charmers, which would see them faster than their nearest rival by more than 3 seconds. Right behind Ed and still coming to grips with his new car was Neil Corbin with a 1st in modified 2 and 18th overall. Finishing top of the Clubman 2 group was Ryan Wood in his bright orange Bimmer Cup car. Improvement on each official run for the morning would see Stuart Garcia finish 1st in Clubman 3 and 1 second ahead of his nearest group rival. Though the sole Group B competitor, Sean Eversley would show some improvement for most of the morning to gain respectable first direction times, and expectedly 1st in Group B. Fastest in Historic 2 was Harold Morley, despite an overshoot on Run 3 which would require him to compose himself for his last official run. The lone driver in Super Modified, but putting in some respectable times, was Darren Lashley in his Toyota Starlet. Also the lone driver in his group, but putting in the work with each run, was Jason Tull, who had improved from his first run by 7 seconds. So with all that in mind, here is a closer look at the overall times from the morning session. Back to the action, and rounding up the top 10 was Mark Thompson, who would take on an aggressive approach to each run and spectacularly finding the limit on the 3rd run, which would see him missing a wheel and out for the day. Improving significantly from the morning direction, and surely with the valuable tutelage of Matt Edwards, Paul Horton would take a 9th overall.
Flat 4 left, 70. Max right over crest, 80. Down into the left 5, tightens 4. Go on, go now. 100. Crest keep left into crest keep right. 160. Right 4 plus, extra long. Slowing into right 2, cut. There she is, keep out. To square left. Flat right. Into flat left 5, stay out for left 3.
Dropping 2 places down from his morning overall finish, Roger Mayers would muster up a final time that would secure an 8th overall position. Next up, Roger Hill, who would improve from the morning direction by 1 overall position to see him finish 7th overall. The 2nd direction would prove to be a formidable challenge for Jeffrey Panton, who would drop 3 places down from his previous finish to leave him 4th in the group. Still on a respectable charge, but also dropping one place down, was Barry Mayers, who would retain his fastest two-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive honours to come home 5th overall. Taking on the second direction with a bigger push, Rob Swan would improve his overall position by 1 to see him 3rd in the R5 class and 4th overall. Much improved from the first direction was Mark Maloney, who would secure a 3rd place finish and a 2nd overall in the R5 group. Continuing their winning ways and retaining the title as the crew to beat in the R5 class, Stuart Maloney and Chris Yearwood would comfortably take the class win in R5 and 2nd overall, while placing massive pressure on the leading team. Taking a bit more of a comfortable win this time around was Dane Skeete and Tyler Mayhew, who would be the fastest overall by just short of 2 seconds. Before heading off, let's have a look at the various class winners, and first up is Logan Watson, who would fall 1 spot from his previous overall position but retain his 1st place finish in Modified 3. First in Modified 2 would be Neil Corbin, who appeared to be getting quite used to his new car. Likely to inherit the Mr. Consistency title was Ed Corbin, who would take the Modified 1 overall honours in this direction as well. In dramatic fashion, Ian Warren would take overall honours in Clubman 2 with a time nearly 3 seconds faster than his closest rival. With a bit more of a battle in the reverse direction, Stuart Garcia would take the Clubman 3 win by 0.05 of a second from Greg Cozier. Jason Tull also proved to be another driver who would show fighting form throughout the day and who seemed quite ready for Rally Barbados. Though unopposed, Darren Lashley improved after each run and showed a considerable amount of potential, which we're eager to see in the future. And closing things off with a win in Historic 2 was John Corbin in his Toyota Corolla. And with all that said and done, let's have a closer look at the overall fastest times for the evening direction. So that's it, an end to another great event here in Barbados. Thank you very much for watching Red 265 Motorsport. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like the videos, it means a lot to us here and allows us to keep bringing you this great rallying content. If you're new, please do subscribe so to not miss a beat in the future, and with Rally Barbados around the corner, you seriously won't want to. I have been Chris Reardon, and we will see you all very soon with the next bout of rallying action.